Hello, everyone. My name is Nate Dool. We are in Info 550, summer of 2018. This evening, I am going to be presenting to you on ERP systems and the alternatives to ERP systems. So, very quickly, just to keep us on track for the presentation, here's a quick agenda or itinerary. We'll start off with a brief history of the ERP system. We will be filling you in exactly what an ERP system is, the cost and implementation, impact on the business or businesses, advantages and disadvantages to an ERP system, industries that are involved and are already utilizing ERP systems, and several alternatives to ERP systems. So to start off, the history of the ERP system, it is a software that was originally developed in the 1960s, originally called the MRP system, which actually stands for Materials Requirements Planning. It was originally developed mainly for manufacturing, which allowed companies to schedule product, schedule for raw materials, and pull status reports from their database on exactly where their product was within the manufacturing process. Later on in the 1970s, the next evolution of the MRP was developed. It was called MRP2. And that's when they really started to integrate into computers and the hardware that was being developed at that time, which gave them a lot more applications. They were able to move into more of the front end of the business, applying to HR modules, accounting modules, sales modules, and a little bit further more than just a production-based product. Later on in the 1990s, this is when the dot-com boom of the 90s was taking place, and this is when the ERP system per se was really developed. This is when the ERP system was able to fully encompass an entire company or organization, anywhere from manufacturing, HR, accounting, sales, AR, AP. They really covered every aspect of the business, really consolidating all information in one place. So now that we discussed the brief history on an ERP system, what exactly is an ERP system? I realize I haven't given you that information yet. It is called an enterprise resource planning system. So by definition, I put a couple up here for you. Enterprise resource planning is a process by which a company, often a manufacturer, manages and integrates the important parts of its business. I also have found further definition of ERP software suites are built to collect and organize data from various levels of an organization and connect business activities across departments. So briefly, if you look here at the illustration, you can see that, like I was saying in the history, the ERP system really has come to encompass just about every aspect of business. Customer web portal, CRM and sales, distribution, shipping, warehousing, time and projects, dashboards, finance, manufacturing, purchasing. So I myself work within an ERP system called Global Shop Solutions. And I am in production management. So this is a tool that I use very, very heavily each day. It gives me the ability to scale labor, make sure I'm utilizing resources properly. In real time, I can pull data or from dashboards or reporting on productivity and efficiency. There's numerous different tools, really endless amounts of tools within software these days. It's all about how you utilize that software. So next we're going to discuss the cost associated with ERP systems. Much like many software applications, the software depends on the size of the company, number of users, functionality necessary in-house server versus a cloud-based service, and a level of customization that your company might require. So after a little bit of research, just to give you an idea of numbers, based on the size of the company, number of users, I found that anywhere from 2 to 4 users within a company would cost on an annual basis anywhere between $8,000 and $12,000. With a larger scale company, such as 100 plus users, could be up to $450,000 a year. And one thing to keep in mind when I mention number of users, that is going to be number of users at the same time. So if you're running multiple shifts, you may not require as many seats. Another option that could bring your costs down is functionality that's necessary. So ERP systems obviously are fully encompassing of an entire business. You can buy software with stripped down models if you just want to implement something that's HR based or something that's accounting based. You might be able to reduce costs there. One other thing to keep in mind is if you're running on an in-house server versus a cloud-based service. Obviously, running on a cloud-based service, a third party, there's going to be added costs there. And from my experience, something that I've found is just about every ERP system is somewhat customized, with every business being slightly different. You're going to need slightly different functionality, slightly different modules or dashboards. So there's going to be an added cost there for the software company to develop that. And then on the back end, there's always continued maintenance. There's going to be updates throughout the lifeline of the software, which will require in-house IT or bringing in third party or maybe even bringing in the software company to apply the updates. The next thing we're going to discuss or consider is the implementation of a ERP system. As we've discussed throughout the entire process or presentation, is that ERP system is meant to be all-encompassing of the entire business. So we've also talked about how customizable or specific to the business the software might need to be. So one thing you need to consider is that the installer be very familiar with your business and the systems that you have in place and your processes. So there's kind of three methodologies for installation or implementing software. The first one would be the supplier that you're purchasing the software from would come in-house, whether you're installing on a cloud-based or on an in-house server, and they would be responsible for the installation, training, and full implementation of the software. Next would be if you're purchasing from a software company that is partnered with a third-party implementation team. Follow somewhat of the same process as the original supplier resource, but the third party would actually be coming in-house doing training implementation. And the last item for implementation of a ERP software system would be in-house, where essentially the company purchasing the software would be responsible for full implementation, training, and installation of that software. Now on to the impact of the business, or why companies implement ERP software systems. I put an illustration up here for you, kind of give you an idea of many of the benefits to implementing the software. I'm going to highlight just a few. First of which we would discuss security and regulatory compliance. This kind of goes along with the collaboration. Being able to integrate all your information into one place allows a company to regulate and make sure all documents or all of their practices are going to be compliant with their values and practices of the company. Another main benefit of implementing an ERP system is strictly it's more productive. As we just talked about, putting all your information in one place allows the company across many departments to access information, making people more productive, and in the end, saving money. It's all about mobility and flexibility, is highlighted there as well. And one of the other main benefits of an ERP system is the real-time forecasting and reporting. You're able to schedule out anywhere in the process within your manufacturing process or service or whatever industry that you're in. You should be able to see in real time the efficiencies, the cost, the suggested sale price. So there are many benefits to an ERP system. It's all about how you utilize that system and put those tools into place. Many industries these days are utilizing ERP systems from engineering and manufacturing, healthcare, industry, energy and utilities, banking, financial services, insurance, public sectors and government, retail, logistics, distribution, hospitality, and leisure. When you really think about it, it's pretty difficult for a company in this day and age to have any kind of competitive advantage without utilizing some kind of ERP system. So in your everyday life, anytime you're purchasing or utilizing a service, majority of the time you're going to be interacting with some kind of ERP system directly or indirectly. So many industries are utilizing this software, and it's become a great tool, a great resource across all of business. Just briefly, we're going to touch on the alternatives to an ERP system. There are hundreds of different softwares out there that are alternatives to ERP systems. Many of them just offering less functionality, less information, and very specific to your subject or department. They might offer you just an HR software. They may offer you just a CRM software. They may offer you just an accounting software. So much less functionality, very scaled back, opposed to a full encompassing ERP system. Then there's also the alternative that's still happening out there where companies over time have developed their own per se ERP system. For newer companies or companies that are looking to utilize an ERP system, kind of as we discussed in our outsourcing module in week 2, is very expensive to develop and not really cost efficient, opposed to just outsourcing for this IT need. So why would a company choose an alternative? Most of the time, it's going to be based on cost, and they only want the functionality of just one or a few aspects of the software system, so that they would purchase a smaller, scaled back version. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in on my presentation on ERP. I want to leave you with just a few discussion topics or questions. First one would be, why would a company in 2018 choose not to utilize an ERP system? And nextly, considering that they're the 5 stages of a company's existence, which I've listed below, which would you think would be the most opportune time for a company to invest in such software that has a high cost but typically a great return? So once again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for listening, and here are just a few of my sources that I utilized to put this presentation together, and I will talk to you all later through the discussion. Thanks.